As Democrats, all of you have agreed that the minimum wage has to be raised. There's some question about how much and how fast it should be raised. Also, when you raise the minimum wage, should it apply to everybody? Does that apply to teenage workers? Does it apply to people in training? Does it apply to the disabled, who a lot of them are being paid a sub-minimum wage now, less than $7.25 an hour? And let's start with you, Bob Kraus.
I think it should be $15 an hour, stepped, and everybody should benefit. If you don't think young people benefit, think about what's going on with student debt. Student debt in this country today for Iowa is $30,000 per kid. It would take a $41,000 entry-level job in order to pay that back in the 10-year time
frame. But Mr. Kraus, college graduates, and that's who you're referring to, aren't coming out and working at minimum wage.
But when they're working to go to college, they work for minimum wage quite often. My daughter worked at Menards, and she made $8 an hour. She got a 10-cent an hour wage increase in 2 years. If that's not a problem that's creating and helping our students go into debt, I don't know what is.
Mr. Judge, the question is the minimum wage. Would you favor the federal government raising the federal minimum wage? By how much and when?
I do favor raising the federal minimum wage, and I would like to see that raised to $15 an hour.
Right away?
And I think that will have to be over 2-4 years in steps because that's a big jump. If it had caught up, if we had been doing what we should have been doing, we wouldn't have this huge difference between today's minimum wage and where it should be now. And we've got to do this. We talk about the lagging economy. We talk about what are we going to do to spur this economy. The number one first thing that we should do is raise that minimum wage so that workers across the country have more disposable income in their pockets. They purchase more goods and services. And that'll start our economy going as fast as anything we can think of.
Jim? Tom Fegan, can somebody making $7.25 an hour today wait 2 years or 4 years for a raise?
We're doing a balancing here, James. We're balancing between the owner of the business and the individuals. I agree with you. At $7.25, people are starving. They're working 2 and 3 jobs. Here's what I see representing small businesses. I've got a tire store owner right now, 3rd-generation family store, 15 employees. He's 70 years old. He hasn't taken a paycheck in the last year. What I would propose is let's move to 15 fairly quickly. I think 2 to 3 years is probably appropriate for the small business in Iowa. Here's the exception I would make, James. If the owner of a business doesn't make at least twice what their minimum wage workers make, I would allow them to opt out of the minimum wage, because with my tire guy who hasn't taken a paycheck in a year, he may not be able to afford the step to 15.
You haven't weighed in here, Rob Hogan. I want to hear from you because your home county, Lynn County, is studying right now raising it individually as a county, as Johnson County has. Where do you come down on the minimum wage?
I support raising the minimum wage. I was there in 2007 as a state legislator when we increased it to 7.25. I was there in 2015 when Iowa Senate Democrats led the way, and we said let's at least go to $8.75 to keep ourselves in line with our neighboring states. Unfortunately, House Republicans wouldn't take that up, and Governor Branstad wouldn't lead on it. I personally would have liked to have been higher. I would have liked to have been at least $10.10 an hour. And here's the most important thing to me. Whatever we end up settling with, whatever we can come up with, and that's going to require a change in the United States Congress because this Congress is not acting on the issue. If we can raise the minimum wage, let's index it to inflation to take the politics out of this issue. That's what I want to see.